Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today I have a very special guest coming on the show. I have Alex Wilke, who has a wealth of experience in the blockchain space, not only as a builder, but as somebody that has been here for an extended period of time. He is the co-founder of Pendulum, a Polkadot Parachain, a blockchain that is looking to bridge the gap between the traditional financial world and blockchain and really modernize, I should say, the FX market. He's also previously the co-founder of Satoshi Pay. So welcome on board, Alex. Really looking forward to getting this conversation underway.
Hi, everyone. And yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to this interview. Hope we can touch on some really interesting topics.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So could I ask you to introduce yourself, Alex, a little bit about yourself and you know, how long you've been in the space, that sort of stuff?
Yes, so I'm Alex Wilke, co-founder of Satoshi Pay and Pendulum. I've been like in the startup space actually since quite a while, since 20 years, I would say. So I started off with project management, technical product management, then went to mobile games and then business intelligence. So I have a data background also. And after I actually encountered in 2013, I was looking at the white paper of Bitcoin, so not too early, but also not too late, I think. In Berlin, there were I think there were meetups with 15 people or so. So at that time, I'm still based in Berlin. It was a very small community and some nerds meeting somewhere in a pub or in a bar. And at that time, also, there was a bar actually where you could pay with Bitcoin. It was, I think, the first worldwide. I guess it was a really nice area of the town. And after I did my experiment, if this is really working, like buying some Bitcoin and paying for beer and pizza in that bar successfully, I was really blown away by that and thought, okay, if we are automating trust here, and that will be a very disruptive movement. And I was hooked for decentralized networks and crypto in general, and was looking at the space further on. And 2016, I joined Satoshi Pay as co-founder, building that into my professional life also. And since then, yeah, I've been building crypto products. So first as COO of Satoshi Pay, and now as CEO since 1 year, and co-founder. And it's been a great journey. So I don't want to miss it. And it was evolving also into Pendulum. So we can also talk about that if you want.
Yeah, for sure. You know, Pendulum is something, as somebody who has traded FX previously, that I'm very interested in. Also, I'm massively interested in the sort of Polkadot ecosystem and the projects that are coming out of it, the blockchains that are coming out of it. Can we talk a little bit about Satoshi Pay? You mentioned that you were the sort of co-founder of Satoshi Pay. Can we talk about Satoshi Pay? Because your background in the blockchain industry is certainly for myself very, very interesting. I'm sure the viewers are going to also find that interesting.
Yes. So when I joined Satoshi Pay, our approach was we wanted to bring that innovation actually from Bitcoin and crypto decentralized ledger in general to the mainstream. So we wanted to build a case that is not only taking care of or has a target audience of some crypto natives, but also expanding on that. So the idea was to build a micro payment system. We also built that based on the Bitcoin blockchain first for publishers, so that users or readers can pay for certain articles and can pay very little amounts, like 5 cents or 1 cent even. And this could be transacted globally in an efficient manner. So there would be only 10% or 20% of that cent would be the fee for that. And you could still earn 80% of that very little amount. So that was the disruption, because all other payment systems at that time had a minimum fee of 10, 20 cents. And that was a nice approach and of showing what's possible, right, with crypto. We also we changed the blockchain. We've talked about that before, but the Bitcoin blockchain was actually getting very crowded in 2016 and 2017, also when all the ICOs happening at that time. There was a huge hype, and you couldn't really use Bitcoin blockchain as a payment anymore. So we were looking for other blockchains, and we're switching to the Stellar network at that time, also because Stellar already had some stable coins on their platform, and our publishers always told us, yeah, we don't want this volatility of Bitcoin or any other crypto asset. We want to have a euro token or a dollar token or a stable coin there. So we built that on Stellar, and also launched some projects with major publishers. Axel Springer, Europe's biggest publisher, did a project with us, and also one of the biggest stock market, like a stock magazine for retail investors in Germany. And it was pretty great. We couldn't scale that too much because at the same time, subscription models just won the game in that space. So we were looking for a new use case, and ended up in a much bigger market, which was cross-border payments. So that was our second path that we took as Satoshi Pay. And it was also much closer to execution also, because blockchains were already used for cross-border payments, like people sending Bitcoins around or USDT around. And we wanted to make this again possible for businesses that are not too crypto savvy, that don't want to buy Bitcoins, don't want to get exposed to volatility of very like volatile tokens. So yeah, we built that on the Stellar blockchain again, because there were some stable coins there, but we're very limited in terms of liquidity then at one point, and also the growth of stable coins, of different stable coins wasn't fast enough for us. So the space was very young at that time, and also regulation wasn't there. It was very difficult for people to act on blockchain. So we had to work with some intermediaries there, like market makers and other partners that needed to provide liquidity or executing the on and off ramp and so on. And that was not scaling fast enough for us. Also, the liquidity, the fees you paid for an exchange was just too high if you go for $10,000 of swapping stablecoins, or for 100,000. So our potential clients that we had interviews with, their transaction sizes were 10K, 50K, 100K, not necessarily $100 or $5 or something, sending that back. At the same time, AMMs were developed, and the whole DeFi and Uniswap movement started. So we thought, all right, there were no smart contracts on the Stellar blockchain. We have all this innovation now coming in, and then let's connect the dots. Let's build a blockchain specifically for that use case, because we don't want to wait again. Also, we scanned the landscape of blockchains. There was nothing there that we needed, that we could work with. And this was the birth, I would say, of Pendulum. And with that, we could serve not only ourselves, our own product, but also other people, right, that had the same struggled with the same challenges. And since then, we were building Pendulum. Yeah, that's kind of the journey that we took. And yeah, I'm very excited about this, because 2 years back, when we decided for that, no one was actually looking at FX on chain, for example, or trading or stable coins. It was a starting movement. And now there's actually a lot of external backing, especially beginning this year. So last year, first VCs were looking into FX on chain. Circle did a great job and growing with their platform and product. And also then this year, yeah, Circle, Uniswap, they released a paper for about FX on chain. So we got a lot of external validation with our strategy, which is great and feels great. And that's why we're very excited now to launch. I mean, we have launched 2 days ago. That's big news. It will be more visible for the public because we're adding more nodes and integrating with the wallet infrastructure everywhere on Polkadot. So it will still take a couple of days, but yeah, that journey now ended with the first block built on Pendulum 2 days ago. So
yeah, massive congratulations. You guys were the fastest parachain to win the slot, basically. I think it was 3 minutes it was won in. That's impressive.
Yeah. We were ourselves blown away. I couldn't actually contribute myself. It was too fast. Like we were just refreshing, and then it was just closed. We also couldn't believe it. We thought maybe we did something wrong here, but it was 180 seconds after opening the crowd loan, it was already closed. So we knew we had a good wait list. We did a lot of like external communications explaining what we're doing. We were well integrated into the Polkadot ecosystem already, so we had good contacts to Parity and other parachains, and yeah, this all helps. But we never knew like, okay, how does that translate in the crowd loan? And yeah, we were very, very excited and blown away by that success. And when I think back, when we had the decision for Polkadot actually a year back, there was still, Polkadot was not launched yet, right? It was still before the launch, and there were these hugely hyped crowd loans with $1 billion of crowd loan, and we were actually hesitating a bit of going that route because we were not 100% sure we could raise that amount of money. It was fortunately like normalizing a bit, like this atmosphere around Polkadot and also the crowd loans, which gave more founders also the opportunity then to join Polkadot, which is great. And yeah, then we finally did it. So it was a big milestone for us. And 3 minutes world record on Polkadot. I cannot say more.
Unbelievable. Yeah, no, absolutely unbelievable. Massive congratulations. And of course, first block minted, which is brilliant. The start of what's going to be a long journey, but a journey that, you know, I don't think there's a kind of better product for it. You know, your experience in the blockchain space with Satoshi Pay, I'm sure is going to become a great advantage as the co-founder of Pendulum. And you really are trying to solve a problem that's needed to be solved. And that, you know, the FX market is the largest market in the world. You have trillions of dollars sloshing. I mean, it must be quite a daunting thought when you think about how, you know, just the scale of the task that you guys are trying to take on, you know?
Yes, it was when we talked to banks or financial institutions, that was also always what first came up, like, yeah, blockchains. They were not even looking at the space. It's just not scalable enough. They were looking at the transactions and then said, yeah, no, that's not an option, right? But actually, you can start this market with AMMs. You can start actually small. You don't necessarily have to start this with trillions of liquidity. So that's great about AMMs actually. So you can just grow that liquidity with your users, with the community, and with different stables. And yeah, when we hit the limits of scalability, then that's a very, let's say that's a very successful route that we are very happy to take because then also we will solve those scalability issues, right? And we will be in a very good position once we reach them. So yeah, that's it. The product itself, I think we're focusing on businesses first, like we did with the previous product, because we're solving the main, like a very high pain there for them. So these businesses, we talked to, as I said, to 100 businesses, like did interviews. We learned a lot, like businesses in Mexico and Brazil, around the world. And they're missing international banking access, actually. So they need to go to some cash shops to send money and buy their goods from Brazil or from somewhere else. And the ones who have this access, they never know when the money arrives. Then sometimes it takes some days, sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks. Sometimes they have to call someone up the bank after 2 weeks and ask them where the money is. And then we were ourselves surprised that sometimes from a transaction from Mexico to Brazil, then they were calling, where's the money? And then they learned after like 10 calls, they learned, yeah, the money is stuck with some bank somewhere in the US. And then to unlock that money again, it's a whole, like a manual process to do that, because you have so many intermediaries with like additional risk checks and so on. So it's a very, very fragmented, very like highly non-standardized system. And with blockchain and DeFi, this all goes into standards, right? You have stable coins, you have standard smart contracts, AMMs, then you have some on and off ramps, and there you have your checks, compliance checks also. So everything is more streamlined. Institutions can also work better together. And this results then in very low fees. So we can offer with our Forex AMM that will launch on Pendulum, a currency exchange pay, and the user would pay below 10 basis points, I would say. So we're competing with a 2x factor comparing to Curve or Uniswap V3 here. And with that, we're in a very good position to also offer the whole journey, like with on and off ramp at very compatible fees for them, really reducing their cost like significantly, right? Because nowadays they pay 3%, sometimes 2%, sometimes 5%, depending on where they're sending the money. And sometimes they don't know in advance how much they're paying. It's very intransparent when they go with their traditional business bank, right?
For sure. No, it's I think people, when they look into the sort of cross-border payment, you know, how it works traditionally, they almost don't believe that it's that primitive. I mean, it is a pain. You know, I've got relatives that live abroad that try and send money, and it's a real pain point. And again, you guys are solving such a crucial problem. And you spoke about cost being one benefit. There's a trust, but there's so many benefits to blockchain arising, or however you may say it, this industry. And I think that leads me perfectly on to, you know, asking you about Pendulum. What is Pendulum?
So Pendulum is a fiat Forex infrastructure. So that's we're building. It's a layer 1 blockchain. And there will be a lot of protocols that are also serving clients with use cases that need stablecoins, that are around stablecoins. So there could also be trade finance use cases or other use cases coming next. But for now, it's about cross-border payments. That's our focus area. We're focusing and targeting business clients there. So we're not only like offering them a nice exchange, currency exchange, and a good UX. Actually, we're also taking care of their business needs, like accounting or also user management, so that they can actually also have a finance manager preparing some operations and so on, so that you have the same flexibility and features that you have with your traditional business accounts, because that's for many people still a barrier of entering crypto, right? If you just have one key, and then also the fact that if you lose a private key, then your money is gone, is just not possible for businesses to have as a risk. So we will support initiatives also within Polkadot that we will create smart contract wallets to prevent that, also to conquer this from the technical side, and even solve more problems with innovation and decentralized products. So that's one of the routes. And yeah, we are very excited to really solve that pain point of cross-border payments, because it's also a huge market with 200 billion, I think, in the B2B space earned in fees right now by mostly banks. And yeah, we want to bring down those fees and yeah, create this as a decentralized product. So Pendulum is not owned by Satoshi Pay; it's independent. So it's completely it will be a completely DAO. So Pendulum is a decentralized product. So that not only means that we're offering a better product in terms of transaction time, cost, right, and transparency, which got massively more important after last year, after we've seen some centralized financial institutions failing, right? So this just cannot happen on a public blockchain. You can always see reserves 24 auditing the code. So there's nothing can be hidden there. And another aspect completely independent of that is actually that we with offering that as a decentralized blockchain, the users can actually also take part in offering the services. So they can also provide liquidity with certain currencies. We can aggregate that. They can also earn money from the exchange. So that means that where they are currently being ripped off by some, let's say, banks who own some power in the FX space, they can actually be part of the disruption of that. So, and that's another aspect that we don't, not only changing the technologies and the innovation, we're also changing a little bit how the businesses will be structured and how the financial landscape will look like in 5-10 years from now.
Yeah, I've never been so excited, and this is why I love talking to people like yourself, for the route that blockchain is on. You know, it is going to. This is always how I've kind of looked at it. You know, me and you are communicating right now over the internet, which was a revolution, on a PC, which was a revolution. We've got lights on, which was a revolution. In the same way, you know, 5, 10 years down the line, we're going to be using blockchain without even really thinking about that we're using it.
Yes.
And the market that you guys are in and going after, I think is one where there's real need for innovation. And I think blockchain, it almost seems too good to be true how much of a good fit blockchain is for the industry that you guys are in with the FX market.
Definitely. And I mean, there is also this circular Uniswap paper backing that there is less risks for manipulation of those markets, right? If it's on the public, there is the settlement risk. It's just gone because there is a fully audited public code being executed that is executing a payment versus payment transaction. So only when the money, so the money that came in, and only when it's secure and safe that the other part, that the exchange has been done and the money comes back, only then the transaction is being executed. So you do not run in any execution or settlement risks there anymore, which is, I think, for people who don't know that or understand that, they think, well, that should be standard, right? But it's actually not. There are like millions of dollars spent for insuring against that risk also. And it is just a high risk also for some people to deal with other currencies, to do business with other geographies, right? So it's really a barrier right now. And I think I'm very confident that we will laugh about what we did currently in traditional finance in 10, 20 years, right? You really trusted a person. You had to trust a person for moving, I don't know, $100 million, so he could do everything there, right? So that could fail a lot. Like there are so many risks involved there if you have manual processes in place for that. And I think it will become the standard, like we all expect actually how money should move when it's being moved on smart contracts and blockchains and DeFi. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like, I think at one point you used to have 3 people to operate a car, right? One person had to hold a flag,
Yes.
you know, and we look back on that and we think, you've got to be joking.
Exactly.
I think this is the route that we're very much on. I mean, and the thing is with blockchain, I think where it's at, it's still, my personal view is it's still very much in infancy in terms of where it's going, which is interesting because the Polkadot blockchain itself is also still very much in infancy. You know, it's a very new thing, and I'm sure we can get on to maybe some of the benefits with being built on top of Polkadot. And then I'd really like to explore, you mentioned Stellar, the Stellar blockchain. Is Pendulum interacted and using Stellar's or have Stellar services implemented in the blockchain? Maybe we can move on to that. But first, if we can look at Polkadot as a parachain and some of the benefits you guys have discovered building on top of it.
Yes. So we were, again, looking, okay, we want to build a blockchain. What are we going to do? We definitely saw the advantages of being part of an ecosystem because there you have just like more developers working on the same tech with you, right? You have more partners. You can cooperate with other people. And also there's some technologies will be built for you, right? If you're part of that ecosystem. So if some central let's say scalability or security things will be resolved or will be built, and you can use that also for your blockchain, right? If you are in part of that ecosystem, which is awesome. But for Polkadot specifically, there are some further advantages. So from the technical perspective, it is a very next level blockchain. You have very like modern smart contracts there, WebAssembly smart contracts. So they run more efficient or faster also than the EVM smart contracts. Adoption is needed for that too, of course, but we see that there's more and more moving into that direction. The second thing, and for us the most important thing, because we wanted to serve businesses, and in a, let's say, later stage next year or starting next year, we will also focus more on financial institutions, onboard them. And of course, for those institutions, if we would have built our blockchain ourselves, that means we just create our nodes, we're decentralizing them, and then we have to build up a community. And first, this decentralization effort to really have this blockchain secure, that you cannot let's say, attack it and do some double spendings or just the general basic features of a blockchain, to have them secured takes a huge effort if you're alone. So with Polkadot, they have this concept of this shared security. So there is a relay chain actually that is connecting all the parachains and is securing also them. So there cannot be any double spendings, not necessarily because of the Pendulum nodes, no, but the Polkadot is actually securing that. And that's awesome because people don't have to trust us from day one, but from day one, we have Polkadot multi-billion-dollar security and like millions of decentralized users and also a lot of nodes running and so on. So that's one big advantage, and it's a very critical one because it's about security, right, and trust. So we have that trust from day one. Also, if we're now ramping up, our block was built just 2 days ago, right? But still, we're probably like we can be trusted more than maybe other blockchains that are already around for half a year or something like that. So that's great. And also, of course, Polkadot, and that's where it's a little bit in the infancy yet, has this interoperability concept, so that all the parachains can trustlessly interoperate with each other, can transfer and exchange not only assets but also data, so can really deeply integrate their applications with each other. So when we are looking at, for example, decentralized identity applications that we want to integrate, or privacy applications, because if we want to serve businesses and these businesses need to be compliant, they cannot just put, let's say, the salaries of the people out there on a public blockchain. At one point, someone could read them or maybe take some conclusions there. So it would be private data. And we also need to serve about that. And we can cooperate with other projects on Polkadot that are actually solving that already, without the need of building bridges or having a complex second decentralized architecture of securing that, or something like that, which is really, really great. This is in its infancy, I said, because this is still to play out, right? So we are having the first parachains launched last year, and there will be more launching this year. And I think when we see like 50, 60 parachains launched, and then also with use cases that are targeting, like let's say, more real world use cases, or more use cases that have this constant growth, not this hyper growth that we see sometimes with some products. So there are already some nice projects on Polkadot already, and I think we have already seen some with shared target audiences, like business target audience, and there it's very nice to have the option of cooperate very easily, right? So you can combine applications, you can just interoperate with them, and we will see the magic of that. We will see, I think, during this year. So this will definitely come. Yeah. One thing about the use cases, because we're always talking about these crypto hypes, right? And sometimes there are phases and so on. So what you can see in the stablecoin space, where the usage of fiat stablecoins and also the let's say the number of active wallets dealing with stablecoins, actually this movement goes only up, actually. So it also, if you look at last year, we had so many turbulences, also like prices went crazy, and the news, like the crypto world is ending, right? And it was really, really bad. But actually the adoption with stablecoins, so all the use cases that are currently used with stablecoins, they actually just grew every month. And that's what I find very fascinating, because that's also where I want to be. So I don't want to be in these hypes. I want to like solve real problems, work on the adoption, right? And then serve, let's say, users and really solve some pains of them that are not dependent on some hypes or ups or downs, right?
Yeah, it's super interesting. You know, we are so early because it's still a speculative space, and speculation only gets you so far. It's why I'm extremely interested in Pendulum, because it's a real world use case that needs solving, that is a big market. And you guys, I think, are very well positioned to do exactly that, not just being within the Polkadot ecosystem, but also the product itself, your strategic partnerships, yourself as a co-founder. You know, I couldn't think of a better man for the job. You know, it's a project that I'm super interested in. And I just had this thought. We spoke about it when we were not recording, and I'd mentioned the Bank of International Settlements released a report where they said they had lost $80 trillion in terms of the FX sort of swap market. They couldn't account for it. That couldn't happen on a blockchain. So it really is amazing what you guys are trying to do. Could we talk about your involvement with Stellar?
So we chose Stellar back then because it was just a very focused blockchain on payments, and that was actually what we were looking for. And it's really was working out of the box, had great docs, so the documentation and everything worked as expected. You don't find that with many blockchains actually. So it sounds like a standard, but it's not. So we were very positive on Stellar, and also the working with them together, partnering with them. It's a great experience. We're still partners with them. We are building a bridge from Stellar to Pendulum also, so to the Polkadot ecosystem. So with this, we're bringing over these high quality stable coins that Stellar has, and also open up for Stellar users actually to enter Polkadot and Pendulum. So we have, I think, a big overlap also between Stellar and Pendulum in terms of goal, mission, users, right? So we're on the same way with Pendulum, more focusing on the business use cases, and more on the DeFi. We're a bit earlier there. Also, Stellar will introduce their smart contract platform, I think, later this year. But what Stellar was doing very nicely is this integration into the fiat network, into the traditional finance, right? So for the on-ramps and off-ramps, they developed various standards of interacting then with the traditional world. So in our, let's say, we also developed a Stellar wallet, and in that wallet, it's a crypto wallet, right? A normal crypto wallet. In that wallet, you could also transfer money to a bank account. So you could also enter a bank account, for example, or on-ramp yourself to that wallet, right? And these were integrations with fintech partners around the world. They're called anchors, and those anchors were issuing fiat-backed stablecoins on the Stellar network. And these stablecoins are high quality. They're fiat-backed. They're more like comparable with Circle or with Tether, and not so much with some new algorithmic concepts or other stuff. So these are actual fiat-backed stablecoins. And to start our Forex market with already some liquidity and a certain choice of currencies, we're bridging them over from the Stellar network to bootstrap that and to kick off the market as soon as possible. So we'll have those Stellar stablecoins live on Pendulum. That will be Brazilian real, for example, or Mexican pesos, and also we will have, of course, US dollar USDC from Stellar, and this will be then added with the USDT that is already on Polkadot. So Polkadot has that on its common good parachain. It's called statement. So we will, from that day when we open the channel to that parachain, we will also have native Tether USDT already on our chain, which is also great, right? There you see already the advantages of the Polkadot ecosystem. But that's the connection with Stellar. We are working on together with them, also on the whole bridge. I mean, it's a big thing connecting these two ecosystems with each other. And I wonder, in the future, I'm looking forward also to work together with them, maybe on the smart contract platform. Maybe there's some multi-chain projects possible. So I see a bright future there, as we are on the aligned with the mission, I would say, to make money move as easy as a message.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's the goal here, and it's certainly what Pendulum are trying to solve is how do we send a text message? How can we make money that easy to transfer, and the possibilities that opens up? I don't even think like you say, 5-10 years down the line, we're going to be thinking what now might seem alien will become a reality, and it's super interesting for me to sort of follow along, and I'll be following the project very closely, and for anybody that wants to do so, I'm going to leave a link to everything in the description. Alex, could I get some final thoughts from you in regards to Pendulum, in regards to where you're going, and sort of wrap it up with that?
Yes. So I hope, I mean, I guess the viewers of the channel are also on the same vision, but I really hope we're building step by step towards a world where everyone can just connect to the financial infrastructure and do what they want, have access to any assets, can build up their financial records, get a loan, whatever. So have this financial inclusion, not only on people, but also for businesses, of course. And I would say, don't get distracted by the events we've seen, the roller coaster we've seen last year in the space. So just like, let's say, focus on the overall adoption and goal. And I think this is constantly going forward, and it's actually helping also when some centralized institutions are burning down. I know it's of course hurtful if you lose money there, but in general, I think this is backing the overall strategy, and I can only shout out everyone that's join in here. Don't lose out on that. If you're a financial institution also, I would say it's time to start thinking about it, and yeah, get in the space, do your research, try out new products, and let's do one step after another to reach this goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll have to have you back on the show at some point, Alex. So we could talk for hours and hours. We've not even spoke about developing nations and emerging markets and all this stuff, which we could get into another time. But this has been amazing. It's been a real honor to have you on the show, Alex. Thank you very much. A link to everything where you can find Alex, Pendulum, all in the description, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.